Namaskara to everybody. Today let us have the summary of what all Krishna said in chapter 14. The chapter is called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. In the previous chapter he told us Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And in this chapter he is telling another great secret to Arjuna and to each listener of Bhagavad Gita. For us to analyze ourselves, first we have to know what we are before we know what the world is. So another important chapter, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Let us start the summary. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Krishna himself speaks here and tells Arjuna, I will give you the greatest knowledge, the knowledge of all knowledge. Having known this, great seers have got themselves liberated. So such great knowledge Krishna wants to tell Arjuna and to every listener of Gita. Depending on this knowledge, many seers have come to me, that is, have got their liberation. When they get liberation, there is no fear of being born when the creation happens, no fear of death when the creation dissolves. That is to say, a beautiful state of being will happen to them. In chapter 7, he had told us an interesting thing in the 7th sloka. Matta parataram nasti kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam protam sutre maniganaivaha. And he says, associated, that I am the creator of everything. I establish seed in the Prakriti, and then the living beings come to being. As he had said in the 7th chapter, matter is ultimately himself only and also the cosmic consciousness. And because of these two, creations happens because of his desire. And then he says, all living beings that are there have happened because of this. I am the giver of the seed, Prakriti is the receiver of the seed, and then the new creation has happened. Having said this, Krishna continues, there are 3 gunas in Prakriti, in matter. Sattvam, Rajas, Tama iti. Sattva is there, Rajoguna is there, Tamoguna is there. These 3 gunas in nature will bound us to the body and think that I am the gunas. Nibadnanti Mahabaho, he says. They will jail us and make us think in a different way. Having said there are 3 gunas, he wants to explain further. When Sattva is dominant, it's pure, pleasant. Nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam. And it doesn't have any variation. It's very peaceful, simple and beautiful. Sukha sangena badnati, jnana sangena chanaka. Sattva is also a binding factor. It binds it with 3 things: attachment, happiness, and knowledge. We want to have more knowledge, that desire is there, we are pleasant, we are happy, and that is also a desire that we have often. And when Rajoguna becomes dominant, we will be active. Active to achieve something and work for the result of certain goals that we want to achieve. That is to say, Rajoguna binds us with activity and the fruit of their activity. We can see these happening in our daily life. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are creative, sometimes we are dull. All three gunas we can recognize happening in us every day. And he says about the tamoguna, it comes of ignorance, confusion, and it deludes each one who is having this guna. The nature of tamoguna is pramada alasya nidra, erroneous judgment, laziness, and nidra. This guna binds the man who has this guna dominant in him. And continuing, Sattva brings us sukha, Rajoguna makes us active, and Tamoguna makes us make erroneous judgment, Arjuna, he says to Arjuna. And interestingly, he says, no man is a pure sattva, pure rajas, or pure tamas. We are all mixtures of three gunas. Sattva dominates sometimes, pressing down the Rajoguna and Tamoguna. In the same manner, sometimes of our life the Rajoguna dominates and it presses down the Sattva and the Tamoguna. Same manner, sometimes Tamoguna dominates. When it dominates, it makes us lazy, pressing Sattva and Rajoguna down. So what is going on in each one of us is the play of three gunas, Sattva, Rajo and Tamoguna. Continuing, he says, when Sattva is dominant, a man becomes bright. All his senses are light. Feels elated. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin, he says, prakasha upajayate. A man will be really bright when Sattva dominated in him. And when this is happening, you must know that there is a Sattva dominant in you, to Krishna and to each one of us. And it is also one of the three gunas that we are having, but good that we have Sattva now. And when Rajoguna dominates, we will be active. We are oriented to do some activity to get some result that we want to. And when Tamoguna is dominant, as he has already said earlier, we will be in confusion, we will be in delusion, and we will be lazy, and whatever he has said earlier will be happening in us. What happens when a man dies when he is Sattva dominant, or Rajoguna dominant, or Tamoguna dominant? Krishna wants to tell. When Sattva is dominant, if a man dies, he will go to better lokas. Better amalan pratipadyate, he says. He goes to better lokas, say for example, like Swarga. Remember, he says that he doesn't, Sattva dominant man will get mukti. He is not saying that. He goes to Swarga when it is dominant. When Sattva dominate, he leaves the body. Krishna doesn't say he is liberated, but he goes to better loka and comes back here. Continuing, he says, when Rajo dominant, if a man dies, he will be born here again to do a lot of work again and again for design. And he also says, when Tamoguna is dominant if a man dies, he will be born again more ignorant than the present life, more lazy than the present situation. And he also continuing says, Sattva will bring us very beautiful, pleasant results. Rajoguna will give us more sorrow. Though we achieve, we are not happy because we will have another desire to achieve another thing. Tamoguna, as he has already said, Ajnana is the phala of Tamoguna. Ajnana is the result of Tamoguna. Continuing, he says, Sattva sanjayate jnanam. From Sattva we get jnana. Rajoguna dominant, we are greedy. When we are doing erroneous things and confusion we are in, know that you are in the Tamoguna, he says. Krishna says to Arjuna, man goes up when he is in Sattva-guna. Rajoguna man stays where he is. And Tamoguna dominant, adho gachanti tamasaha. When Tamo is dominant, he goes down in the scale of life. That is to say, he doesn't go towards the liberation. He goes to bondage again and again in life. And when Krishna, after saying all these things, asks Arjuna to recognize what all is going on in us is just the gunas. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drashtan pashyati. When he sees what is going on in him is nothing but the guna, and when he realizes the truth, he comes to me. Mat samstamadi gacchati, he says. Madbhavam sodhi gacchati, he says. He will get my bhava, Krishna says to Arjuna. When a man goes beyond these three gunas, that is, not disturbed by the sattva, rajas or tamas, etc., then he will be relieved from the birth cycle of birth and death. Janma mrityu jara dukkai vimukto amrtamashnute. He will be relieved from the cycle of birth and death, and then he will get amrtatva, that is what is called moksha in our philosophy. Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistraigunya Pavarjuna, he had said in chapter 2 only. We have to go beyond the gunas. Vedas only speak about the sattva and rajas and tamas, but you have to go beyond them, he had said. And having listened to everything that Krishna has said, Arjuna gets a beautiful question. He wants Krishna to clarify, and we know the intimacy of Krishna and Arjuna of late. They are greatest teacher and the greatest student he is. So he asks, what is the nature of that man who has gone beyond gunas? How does he behave? Kim acharaha? How is his activity? How can he go above the gunas? Krishna, I want you to clarify these doubts. In the 54th sloka of second chapter, he had asked, Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshavaha sthitadihi kim prabhasheta kim asita prajeta kim. Same question in other way Arjuna asked to Krishna. What is the nature of a gunatita? When Arjuna asks the question, Krishna never delays to give the answer and the perfect answer to it. So listening to his question, Krishna begins his answer. A beautiful answer. Prakashancha pravrittincha mohayevacha pandava nadveshti sampravrittani nanivrittani kankshati. When Sattva-guna is there, we are jubilant. When Tamo-Rajoguna is there, we are active. When Tamo-guna is there, we are in confusion. But this man, who has gone beyond the gunas, when Sattva dominant, he keeps his cool, not disturbed. When Rajo dominant, he is again cool. When Tamo dominant, he is cool enough. He neither wants this to go nor wants the other to come. He will be just an observer of the gunas that is going on in himself. He sits like a witness to these gunas, not disturbed at all. He knows gunas are acting in me. I am just the seer of what is going on in me also. Guna guneshu vartanta iti matva yovatishthati nengate. He thinks guna is acting according to guna and he is not disturbed at all. Whether sattva dominant, whether rajo dominant, whether tamo dominant, not bothered at all. He is a sakshi to all these three. And in this state, he is samadukka sukha swastaha. Sukha, dukkha are equal to him. Gold, samalosthashma kanchana. Gold, earth and sand are equal to him. Good and bad are equal to him. If somebody praises or scolds, he doesn't bother. He takes them lightly as if it is not his at all. And this man, the Gunatita, will be equal in manapamanayoho. When somebody respects him, it's okay. When somebody condemns him for some reason, which this man is not the cause of it, doesn't bother at all. Manapamanayostulyah stulyo mitra ripukshayoho. Friends and enemies are equal to him because he knows they are all expression of the same cosmic consciousness. He does all that he has to do in his life and offers back to that cosmic consciousness. Sarvaramba Parityagi does everything to his best of his ability, offers back to God, relaxes, thinking that gunas have done the activities through him. And then that man is called a Gunatita. A man who is devoted to me continuously, works with bhakti, goes beyond the gunas and gets liberated. We all know that the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to liberate Arjuna and to liberate each one of us. Not by running away from what we ought to do. Even after doing what we ought to do, we must be feeling relaxed. So he says, one who remembers me, as he many times said earlier, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvanchamai Pashyati, or Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. He again says, one who remembers me and does all his activity will be relieved from the cycle of birth and death. And ultimately, in conclusion, he says that he is the basis of Brahma. He is also the basis of eternal Dharma. He is also not subject to any changes. And that is the ultimate state of everything. Whatever exists is beyond guna. That is Brahma, Dharma, and also sukha, the peace of mind. That is what he gave. With this, Krishna concludes the simple explanation of three gunas, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna in a beautiful way, and says a gunatita, if he happens because of his blessings, will be a Jivan Mukta. Thank you for listening.